Excavation Profits Podcast by Excavation Marketing Pros. Interviews with successful excavation and septic business owners, revealing how they market and grow their business in today's economy. Hear directly from the most successful leaders in your business and discover what they're doing to keep their phone ringing, equipment running, and businesses booming. Now your host, Scott Andreessen.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Excavation Profits Podcast. Today we have a super special guest, Justin Maust, and he is an author, an EOS implementer, an expert keynote speaker, and it's awesome to have you on the show, Justin. How are you doing?
Scott, thank you, man, for letting me be a part of this thing. I'm pumped.
Awesome. So can we just start off with a little bit of your background? Tell us a little more about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an expert EOS implementer. Just means that I've been in the session room with about 1,200 full-day sessions working with over 120 different companies since 2017. Prior to that, I was a leadership guy, keynote speaker, conference speaker. Maybe you've heard of John Maxwell, but I was one of his speaker trainers and coaches, and loved leadership, loved helping people, but I really got lit up. John has a line that says, events challenge people, but process changes people. And I literally had a client that had hired me, right? And they wanted me to help them with leadership and culture. And so I'm diving in, and they come to me. This is probably 3 years into my relationship with this client. This was a small, maybe a 25-person team. And he said, Justin, thank you so much for helping us with leadership and culture and management. Like, you've turned the light bulb on for us. And then a long pause, and he said, but EOS actually helped us do it. And so he fired me. And that was in 2015. And I'm like, Levi, that was the nicest backhanded compliment I've ever received. Like, what is EOS? And he says, you should look into it. You'd probably be a great coach. So that was in 2015. And it took me a little bit to unwind some of the things that I was doing. I was very passionate about. So I started my leadership journey before EOS, just speaking, training, coaching, and loved the work, but realized I needed a process to help people actually move the needle in their own company.
Absolutely. And so for those who are tuning into this that are not familiar with EOS, can you give a brief summary? What is it? Why should excavation and septic business owners care about this?
Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat any of this. So at the end of the day, you see my shirt, Success Loves Discipline. I don't care what kind of company you have. I owned a fire and water restoration company. So I know that world. Humans need discipline, and humans, if they want to work together, they need some form of an operating system. And usually us entrepreneurs, we're too busy trying to do the work. We haven't fine-tuned an operating system. So finding an operating system that works with you is really critical so that everybody in the organization can own the same disciplines, be on the same cadence. You can increase focus, accountability, discipline. You can improve your culture. You get everybody rowing in the same direction. Like with EOS, it literally helps you do three things: vision, traction, and healthy. So vision, getting everybody on the same page. Where are we going? How are we trying to get there? Traction, like I just said, increasing focus, discipline, accountability, so that every single team member is helping you achieve every facet of that vision. And then a lot of times healthy, because entrepreneurship. I mean, so many times we're just more dysfunctional than we are functional. So this system literally helps you create a more functional, cohesive, united leadership team. And as goes that leadership team, so goes the whole company. So I am very biased, not just about EOS. I'm very biased that I think every entrepreneur needs an operating system, and it's usually not the one that they have created with duct tape and twine and learning. It's all good, but there are other people that have put some stuff together that I would rather steal the good stuff than have to make it up myself. So that's literally why I became an implementer.
Mm-hmm. And what is like the moment that you realize most entrepreneurs don't have a business problem, they have a leadership or a clarity problem?
You know, I don't know when the moment is when I realize that, but I can tell you there's pain points. And I think, when you first start a business, it's the grinding hours that people don't understand what's required when you're just trying to get something off the ground. Like it's whatever it takes mindset. But when you get to the point where you have maybe 5 to 10 team members and you're starting to feel the stress fractures that you can't get it all done and you need more people with you, and you're starting to hit the ceiling on being able to delegate and elevate people and find the right people. When you got 10 people, 70% of your problems are more people related than just your own performance related. And I think that's when the light bulb clicks, where a lot of people are like, dang, I'm pretty good at owning myself and performing at my level, but I don't know how to get everybody rowing in the same direction. And so that's when I usually see people are like, the pain, what does Jim Rohn say? That when the pain to stay the same is greater than the pain to change, that's when you'll change. And I think that's when a lot of entrepreneurs start hitting that ceiling and start recognizing whatever I'm doing is not getting me where I want to go. It got me to where I'm at, but it's not going to get me where I want to go. And they just recognize they need some type of a system that's kind of beyond them.
Mm-hmm. Now, most contractor business owners are operator first, leader second. Yeah. What mindset shift needs to happen for them to achieve real growth?
2 words: let go. Because you are the operator, nobody can ever do it as good as you. And that's always going to be the case. But if you don't learn to delegate and then elevate, your business will stay stuck. So you've got to be able to let go. And it's crazy. But I literally, when I started Rackley Restoration, Christian Rackley and he was 24 years old. And I started that company, and I never worked a day inside of that company from day one. And my mindset was, I have my practice, my EOS business, and I have this other thing I'm doing, and I've got Rackley Restoration. The only way it's going to succeed is if I can build a leadership team and if we can scale that company. And we started with 0 revenue, 0 brand, no logo, no trucks, no team members. It was just a dream. And we went from 0 to 4.875 million in 5 or 6 years. And I never worked inside that company. And they grew at like 120% a year for 6 years. And that is 100% attributed to, we built a leadership team and they were the practitioners. Christian Rackley, I named my company after him. I was the owner, but his name was on the door because I knew I needed other people to do the work. And so I think that's you have to let go. If you're unwilling to let go, you won't get where you want to go. Because where I wanted to go, where a lot of entrepreneurs they want more time freedom. They want maybe a little bit more financial freedom, and they don't want every single situation in their business to be tied to their rear end. So they've got to develop some leaders. They've got to let go of some of the thinking and some of the doing of that business so other people can take the load off of their shoulders.
And so how you mentioned letting go, how else does the business owner stop being the bottleneck without losing control?
Well, that goes back to, I'm kind of I have one tool, Scott. I have one trick, and that is an operating system. If you're going to let go, you can't just let go to like whatever. You've got to get the whole group of people following the same operating system. It's like any football coach We all run the same play.
Mm.
Coach or the quarterback doesn't have to take all of the steps, but there's an agreed upon cadence. When we hike the ball, everyone knows their steps. And so in an operating system, we've got to have a handful of agreement as to how we're going to do this. So we got to create priorities. We got to create an accountability chart. We got to create a scorecard so that the owner knows, are we winning or losing the week? So we have a scorecard that gives you a pulse of the health and strength of the data. Is the business performing well? That's scorecard. Who's responsible for what? We have 5 roles in each seat. You have an accountability chart, not an org chart, a legit accountability. Who is accountable for these 5 roles? You need to have clarity, because if everyone's responsible, then no one is. And so we got to break that down, got to de-mesh everybody from all the things. What is the owner responsible for? What are the 5 roles for that owner? And we build out that structure, and then we set some priorities. And then lastly, you have to have a meeting cadence. We have to come together. We got to solve some issues every single week. And so there's a handful of tools. You can't just make the decision that I'm going to let go and you got nothing to let go to. You've got to let it go into an operating system that you can manage so that you can create a self-managed company. The leaders know what they're responsible to do. The leaders do the work that the owner used to do, but he's delegated or she's delegated the responsibility. Listen, it's not easy. You're going to endure some pain, because there's 2 types of pain: the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. And it takes a leader some discipline to consistently let go and hold other people accountable to things that you used to do, right?
Right. Now, where do you see business owners most often struggle when trying to implement EOS?
Oh, they aren't willing to change the way they think or do. So I mean, this is not easy. Like, developing yourself, like, you have to be willing. When I say let go, you have to let go of the thinking and you have to let go of the doing, empower other people to do that. And when you're so used to doing it your way, then you're going to drive everyone to have to do it your way versus, no, you got to find the right leaders, find the right who's. Dan Sullivan says this, it's who, not how. I'm going to find the right who's. Find some people I trust that have the right core values. They have the right culture. They have the right DNA. And I'm going to give them the tools. I'm going to show them how to do it. But ultimately, they're responsible for how it gets done. So I'm letting go. And so if you really want to go to the next level, you have to think and do at a higher level. This level of thinking is going to produce this result over here. But if you want a better result, then you have to think and do at a higher level. And you have to let go of all that other stuff. You have to change the skill set.
And do you intentionally, you're delegating, you're letting go. Are you intentionally then just letting them screw up, for lack of a better word?
No, that's why you have the system that gives you a pulse of the health and strength. Are we winning the game? You have a scorecard. That scorecard has 5 to 15 different measurables that are the exact measurables that give you a pulse of whether your company is winning or losing. And next to each measurable is somebody's name. You have an owner. And if you set this up right, you are not the owner of every one of those measurables. Other people are. So you can see, are they winning? And they can see there's massive accountability. Like when you implement a system like EOS or any operating system, if it's worth its salt, it is going to give you a level of visibility, and you're going to have this lucid, transparent, open, honest culture where everyone can see who's dropping the ball, what ball is being dropped, what is off track, and then those are just issues to solve. So you're saying, do we just let them go? No, but you do let them. Sometimes you have to let them fail. That's the best way for them to learn. Just like you as an entrepreneur. You didn't live a perfect entrepreneurial life. You made some mistakes. And so you fell on your knees, you skinned up a little bit, you get back up and you learn how to do it better. Well, other people are no different. So as a leader, you got to know, is this something I can let them learn from, or do I have to take control? And so that's why it's so hard, because so many owners, they keep going back in, wanting to pick up what they just let go of, because now that you're not getting it done the way I want it done. So instead of that, you got to keep solving those people issues and holding people to the standard that you set. And yes, they're going to make mistakes, but that's the new skill that you have to learn is, start leading through your people versus being, I call this the benevolent dictator. Most entrepreneurs, at some point, they have to shift from being the brain of the whole company, where everyone relies on them to make every decision. So if you're willing to let go, you can't just let go of the task. You're letting go of the thinking activity and the doing activity, which fully allows you, the owner, to let go of the vine. And then your team members can start getting results. And as long as you're holding them to a system, an accountability chart, scorecard, some priorities, we get in a meeting every week, you as an owner are going to be able to have a pulse, but you got to be consistent in those meetings. Those every single week you're in a meeting, you can see the truth. You see the scorecard. You can see the numbers.
What is one simple execution habit that would immediately improve clarity and accountability for the business owner?
What I find a lot of times when I'm working with teams is they have a really sucky meeting cadence. Like it's a really ineffective meeting. Like they don't have many meetings because they don't believe in meetings, because it's death by meeting. They're just like, these meetings are a waste of time. And so a great organizational habit for that owner with that leadership team is to have a weekly meeting. That this is more like, think of this like Navy SEALs, man. This is a very strict agenda where we are putting optics on the most important metrics of the company, most important priorities of the company, the most important people of the company. We're getting headlines, and then we are solving the most important issues every single week. It's a very rigid agenda. It's called a level 10 meeting, but that meeting is like the glue that allows that business owner to let go as they come into that weekly meeting, and they get a pulse instantly. But that meeting is easier said than done. We all have behaviors and habits and the way we show up. And so the meeting cadence is a habit, but getting good at running a great level 10 meeting is not easy.
You've dealt with many business owners over the years. Why do you feel so many of them tolerate dysfunction for longer than they should?
Oh, listen, 70% of our issues are self-induced. It's not external factors. It's our fault. It's people. 70% of our problems are going to be people related. When you're building a team, you're going to have people headaches. You're going to have drama. You're going to have underperformance. You're going to have mediocrity. You're going to have lack of intelligence. You're going to have a lack of skills. You're going to have a lack of culture fit. And so the reason why it's so hard is people would rather tolerate the people issue than face it head on. They're not willing to stab each other from the front. Scott, I would never backstab you. But if I have an issue with you, I'm coming straight to you, and we're going to have it out, like whatever the issue is. And most, I mean, I can say this about myself. I grew up Mennonite, and us Mennonite people, man, we are super kind and loving and passive aggressive. We will not tell you the truth to your face because we don't want to make any waves. We don't want to make anybody feel bad. And so in a business, if you're on a team, there are going to be mistakes and you have got to address them. And so I think a lot of leaders, they're not intentionally trying to suck. They're not intentionally trying to be habitually mediocre, but whatever you tolerate, you endorse. And so if you're a good person it's not it's intuitively, you don't think, man, I got to face the hardest things. Yes, we understand that. But when you say it on a podcast, it doesn't ring as well versus like I had a guy, he was my general manager. And he told me he was burning out. He was burning out. And he kept saying he's burning out. And so I finally stopped him like, what can I do to help you? And so we started digging in. He says, Justin, I got it. I'm just burning out. I've got it. Well, I actually lost $250,000 because what he didn't tell me about him burning out was Justin. He didn't say this, but I'm telling you now, he was dropping the ball on 15 of my jobs, our jobs, 15 of them. His version of burnout was he stopped addressing the 15 jobs and all the issues in those jobs. He stopped documenting change orders. We had no record of change orders, but he didn't tell me all the truth underneath the surface of him burning out. He just said he was burning out. He was his own people issue, and he didn't have his ego was too big to tell me that he was dropping the ball on issues. And so he just told me he was burning out. I lost $250,000 on that project. I ended up having to write my company a check for $150,000 because they had $100,000 in the bank. So I wrote him a check for $150 because he wasn't honest about his own people issue. He was hitting the ceiling. So what's the number one problem facing leaders, business owners, is their inability to solve their people issues because they can't get to the truth because of ego and pride and whatever, toxicity.
Jeez. Well, so how do leaders build trust and alignment in teams when they're constantly under pressure?
Welcome to life. I don't know of a single, John Maxwell says everything great is uphill. Think about this. Everything great in your life, great marriage, great relationship with your kids, a great big bank account, abs, that visible abs, like everything great is an uphill activity.
Yeah.
And so you have to be willing to go uphill. None of it is easy. So yeah, we have business to run. You currently, I don't know how many different people are listening to this, but every one of you have your own operating system. Whether it's delivering results to you or not is different. So, Justin, I don't have time for an operating system. Well, you currently are running a habitually mediocre company that's frustrating you. You're not happy with some of the results, maybe. Then the way you think and the way you do has to change. So you have to implement a new way of thinking and doing. And that's really just what an operating system is. It's just a new way of thinking and doing. Everyone has an operating system. It's just whether it's effective or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. What breaks first when a contractor business grows too fast?
What breaks first?
Yeah.
That's a loaded question. There's all kinds of things that break. Sometimes the owner breaks, like they burn out, they stress out, their life falls apart. They've sacrificed too much for the business and they lost their family. They've sacrificed too much over here. And so they don't win the net profit game. Like there's so many places a business can break. That's situational. I think what's required, if you really want to get to brass tacks, is a level of humility that says, I don't have it all figured out. And I need to own some disciplines for myself so I can be the husband I want to be. I can be the father I want to be. I can be the business owner I want to be. I can literally bring my dreams to life. Like why I freaking started this company wasn't to suck the life out of me, wasn't to steal me away from my family. It was to create opportunity. And so I just ask, if it's not creating the opportunity, if it's not creating the freedom that you want, if you know that there's a better way, go find that way. My wife, she came to me, and I was my brother and I were running a nonprofit. We co-founded together with a couple other friends. And she came to me 6.5 years into me starting that nonprofit. And she looked right at me. I'm not kidding you, Scott. She put her hand on my shoulder. It was a 30-minute conversation, tears rolling down her eyes. And she said, "You're miserable." And then she had this 30-minute conversation. At the end of it, she summarized it and she said, "You're not the man I thought you'd be when I married you 16 years ago. You're not the husband I thought you'd be when I married you 16 years ago. And you're not the father I thought you'd be." Like, that ripped me to my core. And the last thing I want is my best friend telling me I'm not the man, the husband, or the father that she wanted me to be. And that was 14 years ago. We celebrated our 30th anniversary this past December. And I'm telling you what, it's not all been up and to the right. There's been lots of, like in life, lots of ups and downs. But that was an inflection point that I never wanted to go there again. And so I pivoted. And so if you are in pain as an entrepreneur and you are paying more of a price than you wanted to pay, something's got to change. And I guarantee you, it's not everybody else. You go look at yourself in the mirror, you're what needs to change. And until you decide to change, nothing in your world is going to change. Your people won't change. Your numbers won't change. Your clients won't change. The jobs won't change. You've got to change. And I think that's the second thing that's the hardest thing on most entrepreneurs is this system. I had one of my best friends was a client of mine. We went to church together and I asked him a year into working with him, said, "So how's it going?" He's like, "It's been the worst year of my life, man." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I love leadership. I thought I was a leadership connoisseur. I went to all the conferences. I read all the books." He goes, "I had no idea that I was in the way of so much of the things I was trying to do." He goes, "I felt like I was running through my office naked." He goes, "And that picture's bad." I'm like, "Well, I don't know the picture, but I don't want to know the picture." And he's just like, I was exposed. My behavior, my attitude, my disciplines was exposed with the system. And so don't bring in a system. Don't bring in a guy like me if you are unwilling to be exposed to where your gaps are, because that's the first thing that's going to show up is your leadership gaps. And that's what hungry leaders want. Show me the gaps, baby, because everything great is uphill and it's just an issue to solve. They don't get offended by these gaps. They get hungry.
How should owners think differently about the business if their goal is to make it sellable or transferable someday? How should they be thinking about growth differently?
It's a good question. I think, it sounds weird, but it's not about you. If you're an owner, it's not about you. If you want an exit, your business cannot be about you. Your valuation goes down if the business needs you. Anybody going to buy your company? They want to see, is it self-managed or is it owner-managed? Does the leadership team, can they operate without the owner? Are the processes documented or is it everybody in everybody's head? Is it tribal knowledge only? Like you have to look at this and get outside of your belief that your business is worth all kinds of money. You have to get really humble. You have to make it not about you. Your job is to remove any of the thinking and doing that is needed by you, and your company still has to be able to run without your thinking and doing. Like that's like nirvana. If you get to the point where you have mastered a set of tools and a set of disciplines and a process where you've raised up some leaders, you've equipped them to think and do, to run the business, to get the results, and you're just simply over here watching, observing, leading, coaching, and they're getting it all done, you've just probably increased your valuation, like a lot. I'm not going to give any percentages, but when an owner comes in to buy your company and they see you as the central hub only, I'm not going to pay you as much. But if you've raised up an operating system and you have some team members that are running the company for you, and you're simply a mentor, coach, helping them think and helping them, but not doing the work, you've got yourself a great opportunity, because then you can either decide to keep on running the way you're running, because it's not as taxing, it's not as exhausting when you have a whole team of people running it. Then you can choose to sell or not, but you're not selling because you're running away from your business. You're selling because you've just increased the valuation multiple fold.
Mm-hmm. Now, if we talk about like, what does success look like beyond just revenue? You mentioned basically a self-running business without the business owner.
Yeah.
What else would long-term success look like?
I don't know about you, Scott, but for me, we have this thing called the EOS life. And this was a byproduct that Gino and a lot of his clients had. Gino's the founder of EOS Worldwide. There's like 900 people across the world that do what I do now. We're helping tens of thousands of companies implement this system. So what we've seen is, we call it the EOS life. And that is doing what I love. There's 5 pillars to the EOS life. Doing what I love with people that I love. Because some entrepreneurs, they're going into work every day with people that suck the life out of them. That doesn't have to happen. Like, do work that you love with people that you love, making a difference, making a huge difference, being compensated appropriately, and having time for other passions. Like, every entrepreneur deserves to have those 5 pillars operating in their life. I mean, every single one of us, if we are not doing work that we love, why the heck are we doing that? Just for the money? As an entrepreneur, that's the whole point, is go find work that you do love. And then fill your company with people you love doing work with. Like, I get to choose my clients. I'm at a stage in my life where I get to pick my clients. And man, I make sure I love my clients. You know, if you and I were going to work together, it'd be like, man, can Scott tolerate working with me for a full day? And can I tolerate working with him? If I'm like, yeah, I get freaking jacked to help Scott build his company, then that's a guy that I can love, and I can serve him.
Yeah.
We all deserve that. I mean, why else are we an entrepreneur if we can't do work that we love, do it with people we love, making a huge difference, being compensated appropriately, and having some time for other passions? Like, we should strive for that.
Yeah, I love that. Sounds good. What's one leadership habit every business owner should build, you think?
For me, there's 2. I can't just give you one. There's 2. And so it's, number 1, I have one of the best habits I've created is a daily agenda. Like, I know what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it, where I'm going to be, who I'm going to talk to. I'm maximizing my time. So I have a daily agenda. My assistant helps me build it out. She fills it all out, and then I kind of fill in the day. But having a daily agenda, that's a big deal. And then a term we call clarity breaks. It's when you're thinking and working on your business, you just got to get quiet. We just get so busy in the grind of the business that we don't step away and we don't spend any time thinking. And I think you miss a lot of issues. You miss a lot of opportunities. You miss a lot of the real stuff of life and business if you don't take clarity breaks. So a clarity break is, you grab a journal and you carve it out on the calendar. It's at least 1 hour, and you just spend time thinking and dreaming and building what's not working, who's not working. I can't even go into all the details of it, but it's getting clarity so that you're focused on the most important things. Just 1 hour a week. It's an awesome discipline.
Nice. Well, what is one habit that quietly destroys culture?
Not doing what you say. Not doing. We have got to build leadership. I will believe you the first 6 months I meet you. Your words matter a lot to me, Scott. But after 6 months, it's your actions. And so a bad habit that us leaders have kind of gotten into is sometimes our words don't line up with our actions. We got to do what we say.
What are some of the biggest myths about business growth?
Got some good questions here. So I think there's a big myth that some entrepreneurs, I'm a college dropout. Like I have 13 credits to my name. Like that's, some people think you have to be super smart, but it's Pat Lencioni says this. The myth that you think technology or strategy or finance or money is how you're going to grow your company, that's a myth. Yes, those are all helpful. They're very helpful. But it's teamwork and discipline that actually produce the money. It's teamwork and discipline that actually execute on said strategy. And if you have teamwork, you have discipline, you can create and solve just about any problem known to man. But if you have no discipline and no teamwork, who cares if you have enough money? There's plenty of teams, NCAA, that have some weaker, underfunded teams that didn't have the best strategies. They still showed up with a W because of their teamwork and their discipline.
Let's simplify. What is one sentence that every business owner needs to hear right now?
I go back to that one line I said earlier in the session. Whatever you tolerate, you are endorsing. Whatever you're tolerating in your personal life, whatever you're tolerating in your bank account or lack thereof, whatever you're tolerating in your business, you're endorsing it. Stop tolerating the mediocrity that's holding you back from the kind of company that you want. Stop tolerating. Whatever you tolerate, you endorse. That's my one-liner. My other liner is on my shirt. Success loves discipline. And if we fall in love with discipline, you'll have whatever success that you want. I promise you, there's a couple disciplines connected to every point of success that you want, that if you just fell in love with that discipline, you'd be closer to those results.
And by discipline, are we saying like consistency? Would that be the same thing, or are we saying something a little different there?
Yeah, consistency in doing the actual activity that delivers results. Me going into the gym 5 days a week, me eating healthy 7 days a week, maybe one dessert a week, me drinking a gallon of water every day, me spending time praying. I'm a faith-based guy, so 10 minutes of prayer every day, 10 minutes of Bible reading every day, writing out my daily agenda every day. There's so many disciplines, but that's why I'm saying you pick, where do you want to win in life? Wherever you want to win, wherever you want success, go find the people that have that success and then study their disciplines. Don't study their success, study their disciplines. And then you master that discipline.
What do you hope, Justin, business owners in excavation and septic, heavy construction, what do you hope that they take away from your work?
It's not rocket science, baby. This stuff isn't rocket science. Some people, I think, in blue collar, like my Iraqi restoration, they think that it's business is something bigger than. It's not. Like, it's not rocket science. It's just discipline. They have so many of the disciplines. They maybe just lack a couple. Like most of us entrepreneurs, it's not where we're lacking everywhere. There's just a few areas. If we just tweak them, we get better results. Like our life is so much better.
Now you have something called and I hope I'm saying it right, the Entree Legacy Group. Is that right?
Yeah, that's just the name of my firm. It's just entrepreneurial legacies. We don't start companies to suck in life. We start companies to have impact, to leave a legacy. Yeah.
Nice. And I suppose the other thing, when we talk about legacy in business, what do you view that as?
So recently I had this amazing opportunity. I was able to host a day with David Green. He's the founder of Hobby Lobby, started his company from scratch out of his garage with $600. borrowed $600 loan, bought a frame chopper, wood chopping frame cutter, and for $450, and spent $150 on some wood, some nail, and some glue. Paid his kids 7 cents a frame. So it was a sweatshop for the Green family, like from day one. And he grew this company to 50,000 employees, 1,000 stores across the country, one corporate logistic headquarters, and they give 50% of their profits to fund ministry. It's an $8.5 billion enterprise, family owned and debt free. And David Green and Bill High wrote this book called The Legacy Life. And I love Bill High's definition. Bill High is an attorney that runs a nonprofit called Legacy Stone, but he says legacy is what you set in motion. It's not something you're going to give at the end. It's not a check. It's not an asset. Legacy is stuff we are setting in motion today. During our lifetime, I'm setting things in motion, and I'm setting in my character. I'm setting in my values. I'm setting in a vision for the future so I can have an impact on the next generation. Legacy is something we set in motion today. And so nice. It is, I'm a faith-based guy. I don't want to just win the day. I don't want to just win the week. I don't want to just win in this life. I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. And so I'm trying to set in motion a vision that's storing up treasure in heaven. It's not about a bank account. It's not just about being a good person for me. I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. So legacy is what you set in motion for beyond.
Very nice. And how can people learn more about you, Justin?
Oh, they can email me. They can call me on my cell phone. They can go to LinkedIn. There's a couple places. Justin@justinmaust.com is my email address.
Okay. Awesome. Well, this was a treasure trove of information. I loved it. You gave so much great advice. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And folks, when you're tuning into this, whether you are tuning in on YouTube or Facebook or Spotify or any of our other channels, I'm going to make sure to put his links around this so you have easy access. One other thing, any special events, things you have coming up as well?
No, I'm pretty much head down. I serve so many clients. I don't have very many things. I am going to be speaking at the WET conference here later on this month down in Indianapolis. But I just want to say, Scott, thank you for the opportunity. And all of you listening, all of you entrepreneurs that are listening, whatever you tolerate, you endorse. And I always, when my wife had that conversation with me, I'm like, I wasn't trying to suck. And so I just gave myself a whole bunch of grace. Like I wasn't where I wanted to be, but it was just an issue to solve. Go solve the issue. Take a minute. What's the issue in front of you? Just go solve the issue and take a step. If you keep taking steps, you won't have to tolerate whatever you've been tolerating. So get your rough boots on and start climbing uphill like you've been, but focus on the biggest issues. Scott, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to the podcast. And yeah, it was amazing. Thank you so much, Justin. Take care. And everyone go out to WET Convention, Indianapolis. There's still time. Justin's going to be a keynote there. I'm going to be there as well. So it'll be great to see you, Justin. Shake your hand and chop it up a little bit.
That'd be awesome. Thank you, Scott. We'll see you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Hey there, excavation pros. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to like and subscribe to our podcast and channel. Leave us your feedback and let us know how we did. And hey, if you're interested in taking your excavation or septic business to the next level online, make sure you visit excavationmarketingpros.com today and take advantage of our free resources and mastermind group for excavation and septic industry professionals.